Slurpty diddly do, my G's! I thought that I would make another Slurp related video. This one is about making a vital bass using some of my Slurp sound effects. So in a previous video, I created some different versions of my Slurp, resampling them, and I made a miniature sample pack for Patreon for free. And that is that's one thing. But I wanted to today, if we look here, I wanted to actually create a bass using these kind of Slurp sounds with Vital. I ended up with this loop. What do you think? So basically, it was a bit of a challenge to get the Slurp to sound anything remotely like a bass line. I tried to originally start by only using the Slurp samples. So yeah, in my miniature Slurp sample pack, there are like 6 different Slurp sounds, right? And I put three different samples of the Slurp. Do you guys need to hear it? Do you want to hear it like on its own? Maybe I can quickly show you how one of them sounds, like the gorge one, for example. I'll just quickly run the effects off. I need to do this anyway to go through the sound design process with you. Yeah, this is sort of one of them, and there's 2 other Slurp sounds which are similar, but have very different texture, you know, and I put them into Vital directly into the oscillator section, and when you drag and drop the sample in, it comes up with a setting. You can have it wavetable or vowel or something else, and I put it into wavetable mode, okay? But yeah, the problem is it's really hard to get like a coherent bass sound using something that's just pure texture, you know? So I had to put in a sine wave to help with the power and like consistency of the low end. But basically, I had these Slurps. Once you import the sample, for it to sort of, if you're doing it in this kind of wavetable mode, you need to actually move the sort of wavetable position to actualize the movement of the original sample. So I skim through the wavetables. It gives a kind of Slurp-esque sound. It doesn't sound exactly the same as the samples did, but that's okay. And then I put a low pass on it all. So there's a low pass setting in Vital, which is great in the actual oscillator effects here. So I did it on 2 different types of Slurps. This one here's got a bit of unison. And then I put this this other Slurp effect. I routed that into these 2 oscillators via the FM sample here, and you've also got some of the noise of this sample section here as well. I've also opened and closed that level on my LFO. So I've just got I've got 2 LFOs. This top one here is doing that slow cycling through the wavetables so that the Slurp sort of plays out. I appreciate if this video is a bit like overly complicated to explain, but I hope you get something from it anyway. Stick around. But yeah, so this LFO is used to just move through the wavetables, and then the second one is used to create some sort of groove into the Slurp. Okay. Again, if you want the samples, remember you can get them on my Patreon anyway, and you can drop them in your own projects just for fun, you know, and it's free to download over there. But yeah, so to get this sort of groove into the Slurp, I use the low pass to open and close the sort of Slurp sound. And then I put, as I mentioned, I put in a fat sine wave with it all as well. FM'd one of the Slurps into the sine wave a bit, and then put on this time skew mode for a bit of extra grit. That also comes on my LFO. So that really is yeah, quite needed to get that sort of low end bass power. It's quite difficult to do it all without a sine wave in there somehow, you know. But yeah, now we've got a good combination of bass and texture. It's still very, very textural. So the next things are basically to try and build more of a coherent kind of tonality out of the texture that we have. So I use the phaser negative filter with a bit of movement. It starts to give a bit more of a shape to the sound. I run this through another filter, and this is like a notch filter, again with a bit of movement, and they're both mixed in quite gently, these filters. I sometimes play with the mix amount as well via the LFO, so that one part of the sound is, you know, more contrasting to the other. But yeah, it sort of gets closer to being a bass sound at this point. But still needs a lot of work, still needs to be fattened up a lot. So this is where all the effects come in. And so I start with a flanger. And I keep the center really low. And that basically helps me to target the low mid-range via the flanger. So I get this sort of effect where all the low mids are kind of working together in a certain sort of flanged pitch sense. And it especially comes alive once the other effects are on, like the distortion at the end here, you know. The chorus, I use it very subtly, and I use it to only sort of mix itself up on this LFO. So this LFO is just controlling everything else now. And it's just this kind of groove that I've put into it. And as the groove opens up, so does the chorus, you know? Same thing with the compressor. The compressor, I use it like a OTT. It's like multi-band saturation almost. And it kind of brings up the high end on the mix. The attack's up, the release is down, rest of the settings are the same. You just play with the mix and you can add in like a high-end boost rhythmically with the LFO. The formant filter is something that I don't always use, but this time I did. But yeah, it can be, you know, if you use it all really high up on the mix the whole time, it just becomes that. It's like you've lost everything that you had before. So I just mix in a bit of that effect. So it has this extra like vocal kind of tonality to it. Gives it a bit more interest again. And then I mix in a phaser as well. And this phaser, you can almost imagine it kind of like you're using another filter, but it's just got a bit of a left and right split between the sort of frequencies. Again, it's just mixed in a little bit and has a little bit of movement on. Then a touch of EQing, sort of just boosting sort of some gaps in the high end. Then I add a touch of reverb as well, only about 6%, and then distort the whole thing and actually modulate the drive. So the sound opens up even more. It gets driven even more as the LFO2 shapes come up here, you know. And so that's sort of the best that I got out of my experimentation with, you know, trying to use the slurp texture and create a bass sound out of it. It's still very, like, more than 50% textural and just bass underneath. Like, it's not super tonal, but it does have enough of a tone in there now that it sounds kind of interesting with a beat. Especially nice is what I did with the MIDI, where I sort of had this little octave jump and a little, sort of 5 semitones up or something over here as well. That helps a little bit with the interest of the sound, giving it a bit more tonality, which it really had nothing of to begin with. So then I just added a few processing things, basic stuff, a low sidechain from the kick, multi-band, so the drums sound a bit fatter through the bass. And then I EQ'd the bass in 2 stages with mid-side EQing, so taking out all the stereo from sort of 90 hertz or 100 hertz and below in a smooth way, because there was a fair few stereo effects in Vital built in from the beginning, especially this low slurp that has been unison, that had a lot of low end stereo harmonics already to start off with, you know. I finished up with a multipass, and I just use this to saturate the high end, so a little bit of a high end boost on everything, mixing in the overdrive, just around just above 1K and higher. Obviously, we've got to clip my master here, and it's already clipped on the channel. But yeah, that's called the Slurp of Doom. I'll probably be dropping that on a Vital preset pack. I hopefully got one coming up very soon. And but yeah, just a bit of fun again today, showing you something you could do with the Slurp textures that I created. This is a bit more of a challenging thing though, to make a good bass line using the Slurp texture, because it's like, it's difficult to get that like realistic and nice enjoyable tonality from a bass from something that's purely texture, but it is possible to do it. And the ways to do it are to just toy around with frequency modulation and the filtering till you get some sort of tones that sort of naturally evolve. And then using things like the flanger can sort of inject a bit more pitch into the sound, and the phaser as well, and more filtering, that kind of like trying to localize those frequency areas where there is more of a tonal element to the sound, and like give those movement and prioritize those. So this is it's a challenging way of doing sound design, but it does get you super interesting textural results if you do it well, so that's the Slurp of Doom. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, thank you very much for watching, my G's. If you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below. I really appreciate it. I've got loads of content coming up on the channel. Going to be teaching you as much as I possibly can. If you want to take things further with your production, though, feel free to book me in for a one-on-one lesson. Links for those are down below. You can email me if you need any more information on that, or also if you need any mixing and mastering work done, send me an email. I also have Vital, Serum, Faceplant and Current preset packs on my website. Check those out, some great sounds over there. And come along and join me on Patreon. Grab these slurpy derpy derpy do textures for free. Just join Patreon as a free member and get those as a free download. And subscribe on a higher tier for more benefits like Discord access and all that good stuff. All right, that's it for me today. More from me very soon. Much love.